brighter the flame.
Of course, it's like an old rickety swing set that they're, yeah.
Look at this guy. Sad part, people out there like this.
Are like this or like this movie?
No, that are like this.
Yeah, I know. Did he have mascara on and it's running?
Yeah. I don't think my parents will like this movie.
Really?
What about your parents?
Nope.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Act 3. This is Dane.
This is JR.
And Dane, you need to freshen me up for Act 3.
We're gonna freshen you up. These things sound a little hollow.
Yes.
What are we drinking today, you ask?
It is the Tennessee Fire from Jack Daniels.
Old number 7 mixed with some smooth cinnamon.
Yeah.
Great sip and drink. Goes down smooth. Doesn't have that weird syrupy taste. Some of those other cinnamony. You guys know who I'm talking about drinks.
Yeah.
But Jack Daniels has been producing some great stuff since 89 is when the distillery opened. But it's mixed with their original old number 7 recipe, and then obviously they're adding in a lot of burning cinnamon.
And it's worldwide known as the best Tennessee whiskey.
Yep. You'll never go in a bar and ever not see Jack Daniels. Top of Fiji, bottom of the Australian outback, you will see this in that bar.
In the middle of Dubai or Saudi Arabia.
So very appropriate for the movie that we are reviewing today, Mandy.
Mandy.
Red hot.
Red, keyword, red. We'll talk about that. And it stars Nicolas Cage and produced by the movie studio Legion M. Mm-hmm. Tell us, Dane, a little bit more about Legion M.
Legion M, they are a crowd-sourced studio. Crowd-funded, I should say.
Crowd-funded, yeah.
And they produce a lot of different movies, different genres. This one is obviously Mandy we're talking about, but they've done a movie about Tolkien, J.R.R. Tolkien.
Yeah.
What's another movie that you threw out there
Colossal
earlier?
with Anne Hathaway, Jason Sudeikis.
So they got some big stars.
Yeah.
And they're, it'd probably be your non-typical movies that might be covered by studios, but so far these guys I think have been doing a great job, and if you guys want to go look them up, find out how you could actually purchase shares in this particular company. Kind of works like the way Kickstarter works, where you get some potential money off the projects, merch off the products, some exclusive access to different things, and you might even be able to pick up some of these fabulous little dollies. My dog would love to rip Nicolas Cage's head off.
This merch is available on the Legion M website, but we got it for free, Dave.
We did, from Mandy. Coincidentally, their marketing.
Their VP of marketing, Mandy.
Mandy B.
We love you, Mandy.
Thank you very much for meeting us at C2E2. We are definitely enjoying these little merch show-offs for different events that we're going to be hosting one. But the movie is, what did it come out in 2017? 2018.
2018.
We've been dying to see this movie for so long because the trailer was so cool looking. We finally got the opportunity, and we're going to be doing a reaction video Unfortunately, both of us are very serious movie watchers, so it's a very dry reaction video.
And just to let you know, Dan,
Yes.
just to let you know, this week I got a call from the CEO of Legion M and William Shatner, who's on the board, and they said, JR, we just saw your $225 come across the line here. We want to welcome you to the Legion M waiting list. So,
William Shatner, excellent. JR, I would love you to join our Legion M.
I'm coughing up here.
You're on the waiting list?
I'm on the waiting list.
Oh, all right. Well, he's on the waiting list.
To invest.
Invest in some future project. But look them up. They're great. You know, there's the logo right there.
Yep. Legion M, go to their website.
Right. Lots of merch related to this particular movie. She was gracious enough to let us partake in these. And
you know what?
Showing these off.
We told Mandy that we are movie reviewers.
Yep.
And we do a show on YouTube. And Mandy's first question was, how many subscribers do you have? And Dave, that brings us to, what should our viewers do for us?
We both looked at each other with concerned faces and said,
not many, because we've only been doing this for like a month and a half at the time.
Yeah, right. But
So,
we need subscribers. We've been hovering at like 140, 145. Strangely, we went up, then we went back down. I'm not sure what happened there, but press the button down here, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your hitchhiking buddies that you pick up anytime you're off traveling on your, what was the car he drove? Your red Bronco?
oh, yeah.
But in addition to subscribers, we want to let you guys all know, if you comment by what date?
March 13th.
March 13th, you are going to win.
Oh, no.
No, I'm sorry. You're going to be entered in a raffle to win.
There you go.
Our legal accountant over here. We've got JR and what's the accounting firm?
And Jacoby and Myers, all right? So,
You will win this baby.
yes.
Put a comment in by March 13th, and you will be the proud owner of your own Mandy Blu-ray that you can display continuously on your shelf.
That's right. Bring over the friends, the family, the kids, and have a Mandy viewing for yourself.
Although, please watch this review to find out if you really want to do that or not.
That's right.
Maybe a smaller segment of that
That's
particular
right.
realm.
And fellow Legion M alums, like I'm soon to become an alum of Legion M.
I'm gonna have to get you a scarf for an
Yes,
ascot.
an ascot.
Next
Legion
episode,
M.
when you get actually join the club.
When
you're
I
getting
join
an
the Legion
ascot.
M club, we would love all you other Legion M alums to subscribe to our channel, and that would be awesome. Okay,
Yep.
so
Here we
this
go.
week in Act 3 of Mandy Week,
Yeah.
we are reviewing the movie Mandy, starring Nicolas Cage, produced by Legion M Studios.
In case you want to see the back.
This came out in September 26th, 2018. And in the US box office, it did 1.2 million. Worldwide box office, 1.5 million. And
Right.
you know what? You might not think that's a lot, but I bet you that is as much or more than what was crowdfunded to make this movie. So
Yeah. Well, it's destined to be a cult classic.
yes,
So,
destined to be a cult classic.
like every cult classic, it did not do well in first viewing because people need to digest this movie.
Digest and redigest
And
this
maybe,
movie.
yes.
So, the screenplay for this movie was Panos Cosmos.
Now that is a Greek name, if ever heard of him.
You think? And then Aaron Stewart On was also part of the screenplay. And then there was a separate screenplay, Casper Kelly, and in parentheses, his screenplay says under his credit, Cheddar Goblin. So we'll get to what that means.
That will be this gentleman right over here. The
All right.
Cheddar Goblin.
Yes, that's right. The screenplay, once again, I said Panos Cosmatos. It's directed by Panos Cosmatos.
So this is definitely a piece dear to his heart.
It is. And he had directed only one other movie before this.
I'm most afraid
and that
to hear
is a movie I have on Blu-ray but still have not seen. Beyond the Black Rainbow.
Huh. I haven't heard of it.
I'm wondering if this has anything to do with Dorothy. I doubt it. Beyond the Black Rainbow?
We'll review it sometime, since neither one of us have seen it.
We have not seen it. So, but I hear good things about that, actually. So, we'll check it out. It stars, as we know, Nicolas Cage, and I don't think we need to go any further about who Nicolas Cage is.
Yeah, go to our Act 2 to learn about other movies he's made, in case for some strange reason you've never heard of Nicolas Cage before.
That's right. In Act 2, cue thumbnail, we did our top 8 Nicolas Cage movies, and we'd love you to go watch that. Comment on that, and that can get you into the drawing for Mandy. So, also, he did share billing with us, or shared the movie. It wasn't just about him. There was Andrea Riseborough. She played Mandy Bloom. Now, when I looked up her IMDb credits...
Which is the title is belonging to her.
That's right.
Mandy Bloom, which is weird, because it's Mandy B.
Oh.
Just like the marketing VP.
Just like the direct
Mandy B.
VP of marketing is a Mandy B.
Oh, I wonder if she realized that.
I wonder if there's any connection, really, honestly. Was she the muse to Panos Cosmatos? I don't know. So she has done a lot of TV work, a lot of British TV work. But she was also in the movie Oblivion with Tom Cruise.
Oh, that's where I knew her from.
Really?
I could not picture. Yeah, I forgot about that.
She was in the movie Birdman with Michael Keaton.
Okay, saw that.
She was in the movie Black Mirror, or not the movie, the TV show Black Mirror on Netflix.
Didn't see it.
And then she was in the movie The Grudge.
I think I heard about that movie. That was one of those
based
90s.
off the Japan. No, it's actually more recent, based on a Japanese horror movie.
Not the one, the Eye something.
No, that's also
Ring.
based on it.
The Ring is
that's another one also based on a Japanese horror movie. So, and the other person, I mean, there was other like small bit characters, but the other person I have to mention, the cult leader, Jeremiah Sand, played by Linus Roach. And he was in movies like Heart's War with Bruce Willis. He was in the Chronicles of Riddick with Vin Diesel.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you realize this.
I do, because I was going to tell you later.
Okay, you must have looked this up too. He was in Christopher Nolan's Batman Begins as Thomas Wayne.
We just watched it the other day.
Bruce Wayne's father.
Bruce Wayne's father, but did you know who else is in that movie that's also in this movie?
Oh, that's in that movie? That's in this movie? Let me think real quick.
He's in that particular Batman movie, and he's in this Mandy movie.
Oh.
Which is weird, because it's like really 2 actors from Batman Begins to Mandy. And I'm wondering how there must be a connection there somehow.
I can't think of who it is. Tell me who.
It's the guy who shot Bruce Wayne's dad.
Oh, okay.
You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
After the opera?
Yeah.
That actor is the chemist.
Okay.
In Mandy.
Nice. Good fun fact there.
Fun facts to see how. So there's got to be some weird tie in there, because I cannot believe they pulled him in and they pulled the second guy in, both in a key scene from Batman Begins, into this movie.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
That doesn't happen that often.
You know what? It's possible, and I didn't look at this, but when I looked at Panos Cosmatos' IMDb page, he only had directed 2 movies, but he had worked on some big movies as like director of photography or something like that.
Okay. Is that where is that his background? He's more of a photographer, like more of the art side of it? And he's in fact,
I'm going to bet you he was in Batman Begins somewhere as something. But I can't find it real quick on IMDb, but like he was on Tombstone as the camera and electrical dude or whatever.
Okay, so he's been kind of technically floating around the background of a lot of different things, and this is the first time they let him write and let him direct a movie. And again, we talked about Legion M. I mean, this is kind of their shtick, you know. They're going to give these opportunities. They're going to query the crowds and find out, hey, does this sound something like, you know, you guys would love to fund, and this is how it gets made. So.
Right. Now, normally, Dane, I would not talk about who scored this movie, but what was one of the things we kept talking about the entire freaking movie?
Right, there's
was the
very
score.
Similar score sound to Blade Runner.
Yeah, well,
very almost like weirdly electronic, atmospheric.
The original
song.
Blade Runner done by Vangelis.
Yeah.
It was very reminiscent, and that person who did the music was Johan Johansson. And he actually died right after this movie. And when we were watching the credits, remember we said, "Oh my gosh, they dedicated this to him."
Right.
So he had died. So
it's unfortunate because it's definitely very haunting and moving sound. You know, I mean, he created another. I mean, a lot of times people have talked about how the soundtrack of a movie is really like the third main character in the movie. That, you know, you have to be very aware of that. And some movies where it's blatantly like out there, like Blade Runner. This one definitely. This soundtrack is amazing. Yeah.
Because it really sets the tone. There's two things that set the tone about this movie, and we'll go into it. But the soundtrack is one of them. So the movie summary on IMDb simply states this.
Revenge!
Taking place in 1983, Red Miller is a lumberjack who lives in a secluded cabin in the woods. His artist girlfriend, Mandy, spends her days reading fantasy paperbacks. Then one day, she catches the eye of a crazed cult leader who conjures a group of motorcycle-riding demons to kidnap her. Red, armed with a crossbow and a custom axe, stops at nothing to get her back, leaving a bloody, brutal pile of bodies in his wake. Pretty much says it all.
Yeah, pretty much says it all.
Do we even need to go?
No, I mean, you know, you just look at, like we said, the back of the DVD, the Blu-ray, and you'll see a lot of that. It's all red.
Yeah, this is the steel
book. The front is all red. You see a little picture of this, what they call this a glaive, which basically is, if you heard of a halberd or one of these like ancient where there's like a wood piece and then the blade is at the end. It's like,
I played Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes,
I know. So I know.
Very famous last words. I played Dungeons and Dragons. I know. Very remember, many famous virgins' last words.
Yes, I was Lord Damien, right? So Dane, we're going to go ahead and we're going to talk about this movie. But before we do, why don't you tell our viewers about spoilers?
Oh, yeah, spoilers. So we are definitely going to be dumping in deep into the deep end of the spoiler pool. So you need to jump to this time in the future. Skip all the spoilers.
Yes.
Go to the part where we give you our cult lord's rating.
Our cult glaive rating.
I know, I'm like, glaive, raid? That would be cool. Cult lord glaze. Glaze? No, glaive. But anyways, to hear what we think about this movie. But if you don't want to learn anything about the movie itself, spoilers, skip.
Yep, skip to that.
And here we go.
Time. All right. All right.
The movie.
So, Dane, this movie opens with Mandy reading a poem that she's just written.
Oh.
And
she wrote the poem.
She wrote the poem. And what we do is we find out that Mandy is like this artistic girl writing poems, reading
fantastical
books,
artwork.
Yeah, very intricate artwork. Very interesting girl. And she is dating a gentleman who is a logger, and we're assuming this is somewhere like in Washington, Oregon.
No, I thought this was Upper Canada.
Upper Canada.
I thought it was like deep
I don't know
woods.
if they ever say, but it's like deep woods. You know,
very isolated. You know, there's a small community, but not. You know, they only know. Very separated by you work here, but then I don't see you for another like 20 miles away.
Right.
A lot of hermits.
And her boyfriend's name is Red Miller.
which is funny because there's a lot of red in this movie.
So let's just start off with that. So this movie immediately kind of hits you with two different things that set the tone. And we were just talking about the music to begin with, the score. It's this very ethereal, like electronic score, very similar if you've seen Blade Runner and you remember the Vangelis score and how that set the mood of this futuristic world, right?
We're going to try to play a little bit right here.
We'll see if Legion M comes after us. And
we might have gotten stopped, but maybe you heard a little bit of the score right there.
Yeah, maybe I can flex my waiting list membership to Legion M and say, hey, we're
I'm on the waiting list.
I'm on the waiting list, man. Come on. So I'm waiting for round 9. Come on. So, but we'll play a little bit of this because it's very, very interesting.
Very haunting.
But the other thing that sets the tone is the color saturation of this movie.
Yeah. Definitely that hits you later.
It hits you later, but
it doesn't start that way, but
it doesn't start that way, but it goes that way pretty quick.
Yeah.
And it's filmed in shades of red. And sometimes it's darker red, sometimes it's lighter red.
Purplish, but
But it's
and it's always blood red.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Like you can understand. I've seen movies do this with like certain scenes, but I've never seen a movie do it to this extent.
Like, you ever seen Liquid Sky?
No.
That does it a lot in that movie, but that's a sci-fi alien type thing with a woman who feeds off of the sexual energy of beings or whatever. Side movie. But they do a lot of these weird color saturations and different things. And I'm wondering if he pulled a little bit out of that Panos. This is the first time we're going to reference a director because he had such an imprint on this movie.
It makes me want to go see his other piece of work, Beyond the Black Rainbow. So,
but there's heavy color saturation, oversaturation. They did a lot of like playing with, not just straight. Like, what would our audience think if we were just in red all the time?
Yeah.
I mean, it would be very jarring, right? It'd be very jarring, wouldn't it, if we did this entire review in red the whole time? I think we should do this. Let's keep this going.
All right.
Do you feel more powerful? Do you feel agitated?
In the background, we just play this electronic music score the entire music review. You know what I mean? So, yeah. But anyways,
so he's hooked up with his girlfriend. It's his.
Yeah.
She's the boyfriend. She's into fantasy, very intricate fantasy arts. And
so like it shows him at the lumber camp, taking down a log, and it looks like, it's a 5 o'clock on Friday kind of thing, and now it's the weekend. He gets to go spend it with his love, Mandy, right? So he gets home. He's laying with Mandy, talking with Mandy, watching TV with Mandy, loving on Mandy. And, I can't remember. I think they go to bed that night. But during that, maybe it was during that.
What happens is she goes back the next day to work.
Oh, okay.
She works at a local store.
Because I was going to say that's when she goes walking down this dirt road.
The next day to where she works.
Road. Okay. Yeah. And while she's walking, there just happens to be a caravan of like 2 or 3 cars coming down this dirt
isolated dirt road
and isolated dirt
tall
road.
Wood forest.
And once again, we are in complete redness and of this color saturation. And as one of the minivans is going down, it holds Jeremiah Sand
and his troop
of cult followers. And
if only we could have a troop of cult followers that would subscribe to us.
Yes, but he only had about 8 cult followers, and luckily we have about 140.
That would be. We'd have a nice caravan going with 145.
We'd have a big caravan. Yeah,
we definitely would like to have a much larger caravan.
This cult wants to grow, so this cult of lords. But anyways, So they make eye contact, like while he's driving.
Right.
And he sees her.
And he decides.
And he decides when he gets back. Well, actually, we should say they get back to their compound, if you will.
Right.
And it's weird because then you start seeing more interaction between him and the rest of his cult followers and how they interact. And there's this old lady that just wants to do anything to please Jeremiah.
Right.
You know
she's depressed.
He's depressed. But she wants to she's implying she wants to sleep with him. She wants to please him. Is there anything I can do for you?
She's done that before.
And his response to her is, go get that girl that I saw.
Right. I think her name is Mother Mary, too.
Mother Mary?
It's Mary is her name. I think it's Mother Mary is her character name.
Mother Mary, may I? Mother May I?
So he goes and tells her, and then he says, go get Brother Jeremiah.
Brother Jeremiah?
The other guy's name was Brother something.
Oh, not Jeremiah.
Yeah, it wasn't Jared. But so one of the other cult guys who's got a very creepy act about him. He's like,
he was Brother Swan.
Brother Swan.
And she is Mother Marlene.
Yeah, Mother Marlene. So he goes and remember he rejects her you can't help me. Go get Brother Swan.
Yeah.
So then Brother Swan comes in and he's like, obviously this sycophant who's like, oh, the cult leader wants me. And he's got this look on his face like, yes. Almost like, yes, sir.
Yes.
What do you want from me? And so then he tells him, I want that woman we saw on the road.
Yeah.
And the only way you're going to get her is obviously call up the I don't know what they referred them to, but
I don't remember what he referred them to, but it's basically you go get help from
the Brotherhood or something.
Right. And then he's like, well, they're going to want a sacrifice.
Right.
And he goes, take this idiot, fat guy.
He's like, take the porker.
Why don't we offer up the porker to them? Just to seal the deal.
Take Porkins.
and then before they go,
it was this very he had this angelic. It was almost like a fat cherub or something like that.
Yeah.
He's like, take Porkins.
Yeah.
Give him Porkins.
Porkins always dies in the movies.
I can hold it. No, I'm all right.
But anyways,
take Porkins.
But anyways, he says, and also he gives him a jar of what looks like honey or something, and he says, and take this.
I wasn't sure it was honey, but
it's a liquid.
More on the whitish side.
Well, no,
it was like a paste kind of thing.
It was a liquid because it could pour. But you don't know what it is.
Right, at that point, you don't know what it is.
It's some sort of viscous liquid or whatever. Take this
in a mason jar
and give this to them. So they go out to the woods, and he has this strange horn that he.
They called it the horn of Ambracus.
Ambracus. Oh, is that like
Ambraxis?
Probably a name of a demon or something.
There's a huge history about that particular name. It goes back to ancient Greek mythology and also the Gnostic Bible. There's a lot of references in there about it.
The Gnostic Bible. That almost makes no sense. But
the Gnostic Bible.
Oh, the Gnostic Bible. Okay.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, like
the Bible that does not appear, that was rejected, but there's a lot of references to a lot of other things that never made it into the King James version of the Bible and stuff. But it's an ancient, sometimes it's associated more with deities, but also could be associated with demons, depends on the viewpoint and everything. But it is the horn of, is it Ambraxis?
Yes.
It's Ambraxis, right? And so, he goes out there, he gets out, he starts calling it, and it looks like it's actually an ocarina is the actual formal name of that flute. It's like a fat little thing, comes from ancient Japanese. A lot of them, they would play it almost like a form of a pot, and they had 5 fingers.
So
it's
what
been around
that
for a long
does
time.
He blows that, and they kind of wait around for a few seconds, and then you hear, in the distance, you hear, vroom, 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 and you're not wondering, it's a bunch of quad runners coming up out of the hill.
Demon bikers.
Well, but you don't know that at first.
You
just see a bunch of quad runners coming. You're like, okay.
There's one quad runner. There was definitely motorcycles.
No, there was more than one.
Okay, well, all right.
And then they come out of the hills, and it's a group of these, and you're like, you don't know what this is at first.
At this point.
It looks like it could be bikers from John Carpenter Escape from LA kind of thing.
Right,
You know
these guys have like spikes.
Yes.
They look like the Hellraiser guy,
Yes.
Pinhead or whatever.
Yeah.
They have spikes, they're wearing all leather. They look, ironically, they look like the Gimp from, like dressed in, like painted in wax almost from,
And then when the guy comes,
Pulp Fiction.
like when the lead guy comes and he talks to him, his mouth looks weird.
Right, his teeth are rotten.
It
and he's
reminded
like,
me of that, like, remember in Lord of the Rings? I think it was in episode 2 when they were trying to go through the gate into
the
Moria.
orcs?
No, into not Moria, but where's the volcano at? That they're trying.
Mordor?
Mordor. They're trying to go into that gate, and then that Inquisitor comes out, and he's like, and he's like got his face like.
Oh
covered.
yeah, right. You can only see his mouth. It did look like that. Yeah.
My master, Sauron the Great, bids thee welcome.
I was like, oh my gosh. Yeah.
Very like bitey teeth,
Yeah.
and his teeth were sharpened.
Yeah.
The teeth were sharpened
Yeah.
to like piranha edges.
Yeah.
And there were like foodstuffs in there. It was
Yeah.
very, very creepy. And
And
you're
then-
like, what?
Yeah. And then so somehow they say, we want this girl, we want you to go get her.
Get her.
And then they're like,
And then
like-
he gives him the sauce and he tastes it.
he takes a gulp of it or something like that. And what I learned later on that's like it's like an LSD.
It's like a highly, highly
potent
LSD, like paste almost, right?
Yeah.
And these guys are.
And if you can imagine, because he gulps like a big old gulp, how much that's got to like just affect them, you know what I mean?
It's amazing how much a big old gulp will affect you if you
I
take
know.
enough of them.
Yeah. You would know about that, right? I mean,
Drink. Your brother demands more drinking, less talking!
my brother wants me to drink more in these episodes. So,
But
anyways, yeah. So then, of course, they offer up the big fat kid too.
Porkins.
Yeah, and he's like, "Hey, what's going on, guys?" He's like devoured or something, right?
He's like disappeared out of the screen or whatever, if I remember correctly,
He's
right?
screaming, right? Like, what's going on, guys? Wait, hey,
I thought we were just going to Boy Scout camp.
Yeah.
So he's taken away. The bikers then go, and that's when all hell breaks loose.
Yeah, and then that's when they show Nicolas Cage and Mandy in bed, Red and Mandy.
And
there's-
somehow these guys have orchestrated like a giant strobe light effect in there. Like they brought their own lighting crew. Did you notice that?
Yeah. Maybe
like-
Panos was doing the lighting for them, you know what I mean?
It's like, because they couldn't, it wasn't like cinematography, the lighting had changed in the sense that they made the screen red.
Yeah.
It was like they had brought their own strobe light just to create their own weird
Because
atmosphere.
the light is going off and on.
Right,
and
and
you
blue.
see them for a second.
And then they're out of it.
Yeah.
And then they're, the whole point was to like really mess with the people that they
Yeah.
were about to kidnap.
So yeah, they show up and then somehow they put both Mandy and Red on their stomachs. And so they're just staring at each other like, oh my God, is this a shared dream? What's going on? You know what I mean? I don't know. You can they're not actually saying that. You can read that in their eyes because they have no idea what is going on here as these demons are in their room,
Yeah.
So,
And that's a big question. Are they demons or are they humans?
and we're watching this.
Right.
And we're questioning, what are these things? Are these demons? Are these bikers dressed up as just goth?
Full head to tail, no face,
Or
no eyes.
Are they
like-
some sort of like extra dimensional beings that were just summoned, like a Stranger Things or something, you know what I mean? And
Right.
but you have like no freaking idea what is going on here. So now after all of this craziness, the demons decide to take Mandy and Red off-site. They take
Back
them
to the cult leader's place.
Back to the cult.
compound.
the cult
Compound.
compound.
Man.
And who were the lords of that cult? I don't know. But anyways, they got Nicolas Cage tied up outside of the cult compound.
Strung up.
Meanwhile, they are in there with Mandy, and they give her some of that LSD. So she's like starting to kind of trip, and things are like this is perfect for this tonal mood.
And this is going to be the one part where we're going to put a reaction video up, because they also give her that black wasp
oh yeah,
ping in the neck.
I forgot about that part.
That's the one part, because, you know, as I said, our reaction video was more serious viewing, but that was the one part. Watch.
Ugh. They're going into the eyeballs.
Giving her a drug.
I made a sound. It went like a singe.
Very good.
What is it? Well,
It's probably some sort of hallucinogenic.
you don't know what it is, but obviously,
What is this?
what the? Oh, it's something from like a scorpion? That's what they're getting the drug from?
Hold still.
Looks like a wasp.
Hold still.
Oh, that's one of those wild hornets. Ugh, oh my God. Really? It's hallucinogenic like that?
Right into the jugular. They say that sting burns like 1,000
But that's
suns.
is that the giant hornet? All right.
All right. Yeah, so that was crazy. But they give her the LSD to, already alter her
mess
mind.
her up. And
but
then
that wasp, right?
Yeah, that was a very specific type of wasp called it's a black wasp.
Oh,
And so it is
very, very specific kind of wasp.
It's called a
black wasp.
I know, the longer name for it. Well, no, because it's not like the murder hornet or whatever. It's a black wasp. And so its stinger, the female stinger, is so ridiculously long that no animal will go after it, because if they get stung by it. So there's a thing called the Schmidt Sting Pain Index, and it is number 2. The very first one is the bullet ant.
Wow.
So number 2 gets it right in the jugular.
So was that meant to be painful, or is it also a psychedelic?
It's like, I think, to boost the psychedelic effect.
Oh my
Because
God.
remember when she pulls it out of this liquid and she's
Yeah.
like, oh, this is my extra special sauce. And then they
Yeah.
go and close, which you'll see. It's like,
But-
we're like, ah!
But what's so funny is they put her into this sedated state, and
And they bring her in the other room.
Jeremiah starts kind of questioning her, and this has probably worked on all these other people before, but for some reason he would ask her questions, and she is still, has total disdain for him, and is not answering the questions like he wants to answer,
Right,
and
well.
it actually insults him.
She
And
laughs
laughs
incredulously.
incredibly at his face, insults him, and of course, this cult leader, who thinks he has a big ego, actually has a very shattered kind of perception of self, and he's like cringing almost with her, her disdain for him, right? And he doesn't know how to handle it.
Right. I mean, he's like a failed musician, and
Yes.
he thinks he's great, but then he starts playing his music for her, trying to like impress her, because obviously, ultimately, like all cult leaders, they want to get in her pants.
Right.
Or he wants to get in her pants, and she just laughs at him.
Right.
And then he gets pissed.
He gets pissed. So he gets her up. I don't know if they actually killed her inside there.
No.
But they wrapped her up in like a blanket,
And
took
like
her outside.
in a sleeping bag, tied
in a
her
sleeping
up,
bag, tied
in
her up
front of Red,
in front of Nicolas Cage's character.
who's standing out there like this, watching this, like, already kind of in a daze, because he's getting the poop beat out of him.
They burn her alive
Right.
in front of him.
They light the whole
And
thing.
he's like screaming, I think he's gagged, and he's like, just,
Oh yeah, right. He's got the barbed wire. He's got
Yeah.
the wire in his mouth. He's like, ah,
Yeah.
no. And at first I thought that was a joke. I thought they were playing with him, like psychologically, like trying to like mess with him.
Yeah.
But then, unfortunately,
No,
it's true. They really
killed her.
did. They literally sat there.
You weren't sure. I wasn't.
Because they didn't show you putting her in the bag.
Yeah, we weren't 100% sure that was her. We thought that maybe they were playing a trick on him.
Maybe it was Porkins.
Right. but
Because he disappeared.
but the Jeremiah Sand, the cult leader, was so upset at being rebuffed by her that he killed her. And then they leave. They leave their own compound.
They hang her, leave it out there, and leave him out there. And oh well, you forgot about the part where he goes out and he stabs him with that knife.
Oh yeah.
Right in the side.
Yep.
For almost, I guess he figured he's going to die, but for no
Right.
reason. He just completely gives Red Miller one right in the right here, full
Right.
knife right in there.
So when they leave,
And it's the next morning, basically, right? Or no, it's still dark out.
it was still dark.
Was this all in one night?
Yeah.
It is, right?
And he works his bindings off, and he crawls over hands and knees, across like a bunch of ashes, and gets to the sleeping bag, and he's crying, he's holding her, he's freaking out. But then what I loved was he goes inside to the bathroom, and for some reason, I think his jeans were off. He was just in some tidy
Yes,
whities.
right. He had tidy whities.
And he had his shirt on, which his shirt on had this like tiger on it. No, that's the 44.
Oh, that's later. Yeah.
The 44 is she wore that.
That's right.
He wore this tiger shirt, right?
Which you can get on the Legion website.
Yes.
It was a great image of that tiger, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah, so
So he's got that on.
he's got
he goes
that on.
in there.
And he just is like yelling,
Right. It's pure rage and a very like
he's
weird
just building
70s.
his rage. He's building all of the fuel he needs for revenge. He's going to get his revenge.
And drinks an entire thing of vodka.
Yep.
Bottle of vodka. And that was back at their house because he went back after that, and he gets back there. He does his full revenge in his tidy whities. It's like pure, unadulterated, pure crack cocaine anger. He's just like, rah! But it's in a very weird bathroom. So it's an odd scene. And so then where does he end up going?
He goes to his friend's house, and his friend is played by actor Bill Duke, who was in Predator. Remember Predator?
Yes, he was the baby face guy.
Yeah, he would
shave his face,
and then he would like push on it, and the blood would come out.
and then he'd break it
Yeah,
because he was baby face because he couldn't be shaved,
yeah.
or he didn't have a beard or whatever. But
You know what was interesting is, so this guy, his name in the movie is Carruthers.
Yeah,
Do you know why that to me is interesting?
no,
Because he kind of looks like the actor Scatman Crothers, who played in The Shining. Remember? He was in
oh
The
no, I
Shining.
know who you're talking about. Yeah.
But it's just, I
Famous
wonder if they're
singer,
playing
too.
homage to Scatman Crothers by naming him Carruthers. You know what I mean?
It could be. I mean,
So-
because he's got a little bit of that. He doesn't sound anything like Scatman Crothers. And
No. Scatman Crothers kind of has that gravelly voice.
Right.
Hey, son. Yeah,
Right, yeah.
But
Yeah, so he gives him some tips.
he gives him some
That's the
tips.
first inkling of what the Black Riders are.
Oh, yeah. What was that?
He told him that it was like this biker gang that was doing things, and then some drug guy,
Some evil stuff.
some drug guy decided to take revenge on him and gave them this over super distilled LSD that then completely screwed with their mind, and they went sadomasochist. And now, once in a while, you hear them in the woods or off in the distance.
And I would think from that they're not supernatural.
But if you, and then also part of that conversation is, but then other people think they might be from the devil or something like that. So you get this like two sides of what are these guys, Because when you see them, I personally think that they're demonic. I think there's something else otherworldly going on there.
Yep.
That they were called from the horn of Abraxas.
I think there's
the way they were
something
dressed
supernatural
up,
going
they were
on, too.
obviously super, in a sense, powerful in a lot of ways. So
that guy gives him a crossbow.
it's his crossbow. It's Red's crossbow.
But didn't he? He also
He's like
gives
been
him some other
storing it
weapons.
for him.
Yeah, and then after
gives
that
him those
he goes.
tips. He gives him the
goes
special
out
arrow tips.
to a forge,
Yes.
and that's when he crafts.
The steel, the chromium glaive which this thing is right here, which, thank you, Legion M, for providing us a prop here. But
Thank
it's a
you, Mandy.
giant, Mandy, yes, giant battle axe in a sense, but also called a glaive. But normally you'd see this with a big wood piece, and then it would be like a longer piece. But he forges this thing himself, and it's actually a gorgeous weapon, which you can actually pick up on their site, by the way.
A real weapon?
You can actually pick up the real weapon on their site.
How much is that?
It wasn't ridiculous.
Huh.
If we had some serious cash, it would be prominently right here.
Yeah.
but it's a really powerful scene because he does that. However, I do have a question. If anyone watches Forge and Fire, how did he know how to do that? It's not like the easiest thing in the world to like forge a giant weapon like this out of like metal.
Well, and the fact that the entire long handle is metal, that's amazing.
Right.
Because usually it would be like
it's like Lord of the Rings, the way he put this thing together, and it's so that's a little. How did he know how to do that? They didn't set that up whatsoever. But he's crafting, in other words, almost a magical weapon in a sense, right? Because it's a very potent scene. And doesn't he put something in it when he makes it? There's something odd about the way he does it. I can't remember what it is, but
I don't know what it is.
But yeah, he crafts this. And basically, he's on the road to track these MFers down. Yeah.
Now, my question is, I think after that, he kind of goes back to his house to, like, prepare for this, like what he's about to do. And I think it's at this time he turns on TV.
No, the TV was actually when he... Okay, we jumped over that. When he came back from Mandy being burned up, he went back to his house.
Right.
That's when he saw the Cheddar Goblin.
Yeah.
Which is this?
Which is this. And if it is so funny, he's like, so after he's getting his rage out, then they show him.
He has like a beer or something, doesn't he?
He's sitting down and he's like collecting himself. And I think
he puts the TV on.
He puts the TV on and he's just trying to collect himself to think about what he's gonna do. Mm-hmm. And that's when this commercial comes on for the Cheddar Goblin, which is...
We're going to play a little bit of the Cheddar Goblin. It is the grossest thing ever, this goblin.
It's a macaroni and cheese brand called Cheddar Goblin. And their mascot is this thing.
You can see it right here, if you can see that.
Yeah.
Cheddar Goblin.
And the kids all love the Cheddar Goblin.
Cheddar Goblin, did you know the macaroni and cheese?
Nothing's better than cheddar.
Cheddar Goblin.
Cheddar Goblin by Devane has 60% more cheese than the next leading brand. Kids and goblins agree, Cheddar Goblin tastes the best. That's why Cheddar Goblin was rated #1 3 years in a row. Cheddar Goblin by Devane.
Shows up, he's like rah, 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 rah. You can see a little bit of that coming out of here.
Eating his macaroni and cheese.
And so basically, it was such this ridiculous, inane, odd
It had nothing
commercial.
to do with the movie,
right? But it was a little like supposed to be the universe is throwing him some weird, supernatural sign that you need to go out and do something else. Everything is as crazy as it is right now. There's a Cheddar Goblin on TV.
Yes.
And you said something about that guy earlier who was credited with the Cheddar Goblin.
Yeah, so there was 3 screenplay artists. One of them, his entire contribution to the movie was the Cheddar Goblin. So, and his name was Casper Kelly. So
thank you, Casper. You made a cute Cheddar Goblin.
Yes.
But
made it memorable.
Right.
And there's a T-shirt with a Cheddar Goblin on the Legion M. So
I get it. You got to join the Mandy cult.
Yeah. So now that we've covered that, so Nicolas Cage is ready to go after him, and he somehow is on the road, and doesn't he have like one of them on the run, one of the demons? And he runs their car off the road.
Well, the Carruthers guy that he talked to told him where to find him, potentially. So then he sits out there scouting them, and then he knows where they're generally going to go.
Yes.
And he has his crossbow, and he hits one of them down.
Right.
Then he gets back into his Bronco that is this very distinctive red on
And
it.
he's chasing them down, and he like runs one of them off the road.
Yeah.
And then he ends up with the last one like in a cabin or something. And so, I can't remember what he does, but he slits his throat or something because an absorbent amount of blood just gushes out on his face. Blah, 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 blah. All this blood is coming from the demon on his face. And
Well, the
from
guy's
that-
fighting him on
Yeah.
top of it.
Yeah.
And he then hits him, and then the guy like all over him,
Yeah.
like gurgitates.
And from that point on, for the rest of the movie, Nicolas Cage has red blood all over his face. He doesn't even clean that off.
Right.
He just goes the rest of the movie with that red blood on his face.
It's the same evening.
Yes. So
The same midnight through 3 a.m. So, yeah, I mean, and that was a big scene because he takes the one guy out, well, he knocks him down and he shoots him with the crossbow, then he runs him down, and then, remember, they capture him.
yeah.
And he's in the room with his hands nailed to the floor and his other hand up here, and one of the demon biker, and I think that was the woman, is sitting in the other room and then comes towards him and starts that's when his shirt, for the first time, because he switches to the 44 shirt.
Which was worn by Mandy in the beginning.
And so then she cuts the shirt, and he's like, damn it, that was my favorite shirt.
Yeah.
And then that was, kind of like to piss him off. And then, of course, he gets out of that because he twists the pipe off the radiator.
Yep.
And then he has her come over for whatever reason, and then he beats the crap out of her. And then she falls into that deep, dark pit.
Yeah.
And that was it. You didn't know where it was going. You know? There was a lot of, weird things like that in this movie.
So he does go back to the cult compound and takes out kind of the lower level people. Mm-hmm. But what happens is, I can't remember how, that leads him out to the back, and there's like a farm forge or whatever, but there's some sort of gatekeeper guy there.
No,
and go ahead.
So at the demon biker compound, after he escapes, he goes into the other room. Well, he gets out of that. He goes into the other room. And remember, this is the comment I said, why are there Chinese boxes all over the place? And he goes in, and then there's one demon biker in there sitting watching TV. And he comes in there and he starts fighting the guy, and then he finally kills the guy. And then he takes some of the guys, there was cocaine all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
He takes the guy's LSD, and that's when he has his first giant hallucination.
Yeah.
Because he was, took that on. And that's when he imagined that way off radar tower.
Ah.
And so that was what gave him
and
the clue.
that's the clue of where he needed to go. Because when he
Exactly.
goes there, there's a guy there named the Gatekeeper. And when he walks up on him, the guy goes, man, they really did a number on you, right? And you think they're going to fight or something like
Right.
that.
Well, he has a tiger in a cage.
Yeah. And the guy goes, if you want to know where they are, they're up this hill, and then there's a cave that you can go into, and it's their compound. And Nicolas Cage is all right. I'm just
Well, because I think he was going to go in there, and the chemist, the guy's known as the chemist, by the way, which is interesting because I thought, on this particular point, we've been talking about these demon bikers and how are they supernatural or are they real people. I for sure thought that guy was the gatekeeper, and that he was the guy that kind of let them out of wherever demon hell they came from. But in the storyline, he's called the chemist. So I think he was the one who actually was distilling all this high-end LSD that they were all partaking in.
All right.
But then what's the weird thing is, remember, he had a tiger in a cage.
Yes.
And then he all of a sudden is when Nicolas Cage confronted him, and he's like, they didn't treat you very well and everything.
Yeah.
And then Nicolas Cage kind of looked like he was going to go after him. He's like, well, I'll let the tiger out.
Yeah.
And then you're thinking, okay. But then the tiger never shows up again. So it was a very weird scene in itself, and then it didn't make a lot of sense. But that guy's the one who told him, you want to go to the cult?
Yeah.
Go over there. It's over in this,
Well, he said it's up the hill, and then there's an entrance into an underground place. And in that underground place, it was a chapel at the very end.
In this deep carved out of the rock like mining valley,
Right.
this very ornately wooden chapel that was
with a
built,
big cross,
burning red cross,
and who was there? Jeremiah Sand
and his cult friends.
Yep.
And so
he
gets there.
He gets there.
He has to battle through. There's a giant chainsaw battle.
Oh yeah, the chainsaw battle is hilarious because I think Nick Cage finds this chainsaw. It's a pretty big, nice sized chainsaw. But then the other guy pulls out a chainsaw that's about 3 times longer than his chainsaw, and they proceed to have a
It's on his back right there, by the way.
They proceed to have a chainsaw versus chainsaw fight, which, you wonder even how that could even possibly happen, right? But it's like...
Right, they're like almost like lightsabering each other with chainsaws.
With chainsaws. But, Nick Cage comes out successful in that. Gets to the
takes
end.
the guy's head off.
Takes the guy's head off. Decapitation.
What was her name?
Mother Marlene.
Marlene is in there, and she's gonna, of course, promise Nick Cage everything too. And then he works through that initial cult group, and then he goes down deep into the tunnel. Underneath the church is another buried.
It's like a chapel. Another
chapel.
Yeah,
and
because
it's like. I don't know.
Once again, it's lit up. It's red.
All red,
and on his knees, like facing the chapel, is Jeremiah Sand.
Well, he's in that weird tunnel, and he's almost like praying at the wall inside in this like down cavern underneath. And Nick Cage comes in there, and what does he throw at him?
I don't remember.
Her head.
Oh, yeah.
He took her head off, and he throws it at him to freak with him.
Yeah.
And then Brother Joshua is like, realizes this is not, I'm not going to be able to ply my charms on him.
Yeah.
So then he starts begging for his life, and then what does Nick Cage do?
I'm sure it kills him because right now the only thing is I can remember the manner in which he kills Jeremiah Sand.
Well, that's exactly. So how does he kill him?
He grabs him by the head and squeezes and like crushes his head, and his eyeballs pop out.
Right. He's like. Crushes his head, and then
blood's coming, and he's screaming, and his eyes pop out.
Right. So he has achieved his revenge.
Yes, the MC has reached his final quest and objective, and done that. So then he like gets in his car to go home. And what's weird is like they're still playing the weird music. They still got the red tonal thing. He's still covered in blood, and he's just making this weird face
with bright white teeth.
With bright white teeth, and he's like, yeah. And he like looks over to the passenger seat, and there's Mandy, beautiful as ever, sitting smoking a cigarette, talking to him. But obviously, what has happened is Nick Cage has gone mad. He's hallucinating on the drugs, and he's seeing Mandy, who's no longer there.
Or he's gone into another spiritual level.
Maybe.
I know, because there's a lot of layers in this movie.
There's a lot of layers.
He's achieved his objective. He got the evil cult leader in the probably most visceral way possible.
Yes.
So Dane, that wraps the movie up.
I'm just curious, do you think there's any way you would have made this better?
Well, so we talk about this every single time. What are things you can make better? It needed to be a little bit more clear in some points.
Yes.
I mean, when you have to go back and read things to figure out what is going on.
I watched about 2 YouTube explanations of Mandy afterwards, just to see if what I thought was correct. And if there was anything that I missed. And I missed stuff.
Oh, yeah, no, I know. I mean, and I did the same thing. I went back and didn't rewatch the movie like I've done in some cases. But in this case, I was like, you're intrigued. Like, what is going on with this? Are these guys this way? Is this that way? That was one piece. I think they could have done a little bit clearer job in the movie. Like, who was the chemist? Was he the gatekeeper? What the hell was the tiger? That never gets explained. Where did the tiger go?
Yeah.
Things like that. Yeah. How are we supposed to, how did Nick Cage know how to carve this super badass glaive? Like, are we just supposed to guess he's been doing his own private forging? for a long time.
He had a
Never mind
forge.
the fact that he had all that.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that in itself is revealing,
Yeah,
right? He had a
yeah.
forge, but they never set that up in the beginning. Like, you never saw knives all over the place, and he never was like selling his own knives.
Right.
I guess they didn't want to reveal it right away.
So the ambiguity with the biker gang, are they humans? Are they demons? Are they humans possessed by demons? Are they from another dimension? Because there was maybe a talk of that. I'm okay with not 100% knowing.
So
that had me guessing.
Right. So I went down this rabbit hole and I was trying to fit, because to me, I love looking for symbolism in movies. And I thought there is definitely another layer to this whole thing. But you know what, we were talking about this earlier, Pinhead, you know he's called a Cenobite, Cenobite. This is actually it's originally from a religious order, but is it Craven? No, H.P. Lovecraft created this like race of like humans that went into kind of became demons, and that they're really sadomasochist, and so that Pinhead guy is a Cenobite. So there's a theory, or there's a layer to this that those are really those type of beings, like they're demons that have come back, and that's how the Horn of Athraxis. Because I'm sorry, were those demons just sitting around, the bikers sitting around waiting for the horn to go off? No. There was a magical element there. There's a supernatural element in this movie.
I do. So once again, I said I'm okay with not 100% knowing. I believe there was a supernatural element to it.
I do too. But they left it up to you to figure it out.
But they left it up to you to decide if this was supernatural or not supernatural. And that's maybe one of the cool things about this movie, right?
Yeah, I know. I mean, you know, if you came into this thinking it's going to keep it all straight scientific, okay, it's a revenge movie, but if you want to believe it's supernatural, okay, then there's other layers that get added in here that, you know, Panos was very cleverly inserting in and pulling in other magical layers or supernatural pieces, or mixing in like a common, what we would call a grindhouse, like revenge drama with a supernatural thriller type thing.
And once again, we've talked a couple times now about the tonal qualities, the being shot in red, the music. And I mean, this music, I don't know if there was too many times that it was quiet in this movie. This music played almost like it was an old-fashioned soap opera, just throughout the whole thing. You know what I mean? It set the tone. And some people might get tired of that. But if you watch a lot of movies and you see this, and you see something different being tried, you appreciate this. You really do. You appreciate the fact that he's shooting in different hues of red. You appreciate that score underlying it, because this is not your normal movie. This is not your normal, you know, even your normal horror movie that you would go out and watch. This is something different. This is something that a director is trying different things to push the boundaries. And I thought that was very refreshing, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I agree.
So that is the movie. I think I think now, Dane, it's time to give our Cult Lords ratings. And
we need the legions to come back. We need the demon bikers, our 3 demon bikers to come back.
So all of those people that left at the time we had mentioned to not see the spoilers, we're going to invite them back in. We're going to invite the legions of people back in. Welcome back, Horde! Come on back. It's time for the Cult Lords.
You're scaring us, though.
Yeah, you kind of scare us a little bit. But, you know, we know that you didn't want to see the spoilers, but now you want to see our Cult Lords ratings. So.
Right. You've been riding bikes all night. You've been going through some very saturated red colors with the Horn of Abraxas calling you in to hear the Cult Lord reviews.
That's the bottle of Abraxas right there that you
the bottle of Abraxas
that you just like rang.
Oh yeah, the bottle of Abraxas.
Okay, all right.
We're calling you back.
So what we do now is we do our Cult Lords ratings on a scale of 1 to 10. what did we think about this movie? And
of course, we
what?
want to talk about the...
Oh, before we do our Cult Lords rating, thank you for reminding me, Dane. We always like to learn what were the Rotten Tomatoes scores.
The Rotten Tomatoes!
So we do not look at these Rotten Tomatoes scores before we watch a movie. I don't even know if you look at them at all until I reveal them to you.
No, I don't. I try to
Okay.
avoid them completely.
So when I put together my notes on the movie, that's the time that I look at the Rotten Tomatoes scores and I record them so we can see what did the general public think from the critics to the audience. So Dane, the Rotten Tomatoes scores for this movie.
Rotten Tomatoes!
The critics scored this a 90%.
Ooh, 90%!
Can you believe that? I mean, there's rarely we see critics.
I know.
Doing a 90%.
I'm trying to think of the last time, because even for like Dune, they didn't do 90, right?
I
You
don't think
did
so.
91.
I did
But
91.
one of because we always do the opposite,
Yeah.
audience / critic, and that one you were the high one, so
Yeah.
and I was the low one, and I
Yeah.
know you had a 91.
I had
in that,
91%.
right? Yeah, right.
All right.
Okay.
So they're doing 90% the critics. The audience score was 67%.
Ah.
So still very favorable, just lower than the critics. So you will see these scores right here. But now it's time to reveal the Cult Lords ratings, which is way more important than Rotten Tomatoes
The
scores.
CLR,
The-
Cult Lord Grading.
That's right.
CLG.
CLR, wouldn't it?
Well, I want grade, Cult Lord grade.
I want CLR.
You want
but-
CLR.
All right. So once again, it's tomatoes. So CLR, CLG, whatever. All right. So on the count of three, Dane, we are going to reveal right here in front of the world what we thought of Mandy by
For
Nicolas
the
Cage.
first time ever, world reveal.
All right. On the count of three. 1, 2, 3.
Whoa!
Oh, Demon Dane.
Legion M executive.
Yeah, am I a little biased there by being a future
I was going to say,
Legion
it
M?
should have been a reverse score there if you
Yeah.
were the Legion M. But
Yeah.
So I'm an 8.8, he's an 8.3.
Yeah.
I know I have to look at it to remind myself.
So we're both very close to the critics on
It's
this.
the first time I think we've ever been in the same 10, either
like
in the same 8. We've had the first same number.
yeah.
Because we've never done that.
I don't think we have.
Because the 9, 6, we've done like 7, 8. We've never done 8, 8.
No. This is probably our most consistently high score, and it comes from Mandy, and
Which is funny.
which is funny because that we're agreeing on this movie. It's a very intriguing movie, and it kind of pushes some boundaries that normally aren't pushed. It builds on tropes that you don't see too often. It sets tonal qualities unlike any movie like that I've seen in a good amount of time.
Yeah.
And it was mysterious, and of course,
Left up-
Nicolas Cage steals the frickin' show,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly. Especially the underwear toilet
Yeah.
scene.
Yeah, he steals the show. This is one of his, I think, is one of his best roles because he, and he doesn't say that much in the movie.
Right.
Really,
He's very stoic.
he's very stoic. But why did you like it so much, Dave?
Well, I mean, a lot of that you've already touched on. I mean, I thought it was very creative, very symbolic. It left a bit up to interpretation, which, I don't usually like that. I like to kind of have a little bit more of a hint on things, and they left some ambiguity in here. But still, I thought that was the beauty of this movie, is that there's the straight, let's just take this as a pure revenge flick, and then all of a sudden there's some symbolism going on here, or there's some references to other things that you would have to go out and search on your own and figure it out. And
Right.
We've talked about it in the past with like Ulysses and other movie references,
Right.
like the Odyssey.
Right.
So-
Now, is this a movie you would recommend to everybody?
So we do need to talk about that because we're giving this very high ratings. This is
Yes.
this is the I think this is the highest rating I've ever given a movie before, by the way. I've never,
This is
8.8
definitely the highest cumulative rating of the two of us.
of the two of us. Because
Yes.
you've done a 9 before, but that
I've
9,
done a 9.
I was in the 6s, 6,
Yeah.
9, you know, so this is my highest rating of all time. The caveat here is, I think this will become a cult classic.
Yeah.
But it is a ultra violent, kick in the face, kick in the balls, everything ultra violent cult classic. You are not going to recommend this to your child, to your parents. It's a very specific audience that wants to see this movie.
Yeah.
And I think you see that reflected in the Rotten Tomato scores, that, the audience has realized it works at that level.
Right.
But the audience, generally, if they're going to go in there, they're probably looking at a Nick Cage movie, or they saw other elements to it, and then they walked out of there like, what?
Yeah, and even people who love horror might not appreciate this movie because this is not your jump scare movie like a Friday the 13th.
Yeah, it's nothing like those.
It's not like your, movie like a Freddy Krueger or The Conjuring, which are very well polished movies.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a well polished movie. This is more of a gritty movie, and but if you like filmmaking, if you like art house films, grindhouse films, you're gonna love this movie. I would not recommend this to my kids right now, and I would not recommend this to my parents right now.
Mm-hmm.
But if you love film and you love horror, you love both of those, I think you're gonna really love this movie. So,
Right. I mean, it's definitely a movie where you want to clutch your pillow tight half the time and be like, what is going on? There's going to be a lot of that. And then you have to have an appreciation of film.
right.
Which you've touched on a number of, like Blade Runner. I mean, we had this in a previous one, where you've got to appreciate what's going on and what the director's trying to convey, or whoever is the major influence on the film. And he did Panos.
Right.
Our buddy Panos he's a director. Great job.
We don't know you, Panos, but
Panos, we'd love to meet you sometime.
we're calling you our buddy all of a sudden. But
we need a doll of you, man.
Yes.
This is soft. Nick, I did not know you had soft hair up there. But we thought that was, you wouldn't recommend it to everybody, but anyone who loves movies, definitely.
If you go to our episode 1 and watch just our first 10 minutes, we explain the history of our friendship, but we also explain the history of our love for cinema. And so we both have been educated in cinema, either in college or courses for script writing. So I think because of that, we might have a little bit more on just the average Joe as far as understanding what the director's trying to do here,
right,
and achieve. And we totally appreciate that. You know what I mean? So,
right. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely out of the box.
It is. It is. So, great movie. Great movie. We'll definitely applaud Panos and Legion M
for putting this out,
and
all those schmucks who put their 225s in to become part of this project.
And, well, that's tier 3.
Oh,
yeah, I'm above tier 1 and tier 2 people, so tier 3. But I'm telling you, I'm joking around when I say Legion M executive, and that I'm gonna invest in Legion M, and it really didn't do anything for if I thought this movie sucked. I might not have invited Mandy from Legion M to watch this episode, but I would have given a lower grade, 6 point whatever, if I really thought it sucked. But I legitimately think this was a very interesting movie, a cult classic, one that horror fans will be talking about 10, 15, 20 years from now. And Nicolas Cage fans will be always reminded about the movie they saw in Mandy. So, great movie. Yep. And we totally appreciate you checking in on us, watching our review. What's going to be our next review?
Well, we are going to be releasing the top Saturday cartoons here.
Yeah, that should be coming out. That might have already be out by now.
That might have already dropped. And then we're going to be doing a full week, 5 episodes of zombies.
Just talking about the zombies genre.
genre.
And then I think the very next movie review is going to be after that, The French Dispatch.
Yes, we are switching our gears.
Yes. So
we're going from full 1 gear for this one on high RPM, and we're going to be downshifting down to 5.
we're going to be going from the world of Panos Costumos to the world of Wes Anderson. And there couldn't be anything more opposite than those two.
With a little zombie palate cleanser.
A little zombie palate cleanser in between. So, all right. Well, we're looking forward to seeing all of you. Once again, we raise the glass to...
No, we got to raise our guys.
Cheddar Goblin.
Cheddar Goblin and Mr. 44 himself.
Yeah. And we will see you next time. Thanks, fans.